Directed by M. Night Shyamalan, this post-apocalyptic movie seems to strike fear in the heart of many who've watched it. 4 armed strangers take a young girl and her parents hostage at a remote cabin. With limited access to the outside world, they must decide their beliefs before the apocalypse threatens their lives. What do you think happens when 4 individuals knock at the cabin? Let's find out. In this film, Wen, played by Kristen Chui, is a young girl who collects grasshoppers in the woods outside her cabin with her fathers Eric and Andrew, played by Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge, respectively. We see Leonard, played by Dave Bautista, approach Wen and tell her he is there to do something he will regret. 3 other people emerge from the woods armed with large, sharp weapons, prompting Wen to run to the cabin. Wen goes to warn Eric and Andrew about the strangers outside, and Leonard knocks on the door and tells Eric and Andrew that they are there for a task and need to speak to them directly. The guys grow nervous, and the group begins to break into the house through the windows. Eric gets into an altercation with Sabrina, one of the 4 strangers, where he falls and loses consciousness. Andrew fights and beats Redmond, another one of the strangers, hard. The 4 subdued the family, but Sabrina tended to Eric's wound. A brief flashback shows Eric and Andrew meeting Andrew's parents, who are uncomfortable with their son's sexuality, unlike Eric's mother. Eric promises that they'll always be together as the movie cuts back to the cabin. Eric and Andrew are tied up, and the group puts on cartoons to comfort Wen. Despite seeming evil, the group showed kindness for some odd reason. Eric is concussed and complains about sensitivity to light and a lack of vision, which Sabrina tries to help with. When everything is settled, the group begins introducing themselves and their backgrounds. Leonard is a kid's basketball coach, Sabrina is a nurse, Adrienne is a line cook, and Redmond works in sanitation. Leonard explains his and the group's presence. The 4 have seen visions of apocalyptic events, and the family has been chosen to deliver a sacrifice to ensure humanity's survival. If the family fails to choose, catastrophic events will come true. They're also told they cannot commit suicide to spare their loved ones. Eric and Andrew are adamant about not wanting to sacrifice anyone, so they refuse the offer. The group then says that humanity is being judged. Imagine being stuck in a cabin with strangers telling you not to kill yourselves but others. Scary, isn't it? Redmond puts a white mask over his head before Sabrina and Adrienne stick their weapons before Leonard decapitates him. The next morning, Adrienne cooks breakfast for Wen. When it comes time for the family to choose again, Adrienne pleads her case, telling them she has a son named Charlie, and in her visions she has repeatedly seen his death and cannot stop hearing his screams. She begs the guys to think about that in their decision, but Andrew still tells them no. Leonard and Sabrina beat and decapitate Adrienne, and the news reports on the spread of a deadly virus that affects children. Andrew notices the report is pre-recorded and suspects the group is lying. Wen sneaks Eric a knife and gives her a heads up to do something when instructed to. Leonard and Sabrina attempt to persuade Eric and Andrew again. Still, Eric throws a tantrum to distract the other 2, allowing Eric to cut himself free and allow Andrew to run to the car. Sabrina runs in, causing him to shoot her. After she dies, Leonard beheads her. Andrew also grabs Redmond's wallet from his body and confirms that he is indeed his attacker from a bar a few years earlier, Rory O'Bannon. Leonard brings Eric and Andrew outside and tells them they have one last chance to prevent more disasters from happening. Eric tells Wen to hide in a treehouse until someone goes to get her. When it becomes clear they still aren't choosing, Leonard tells them they will only have a few minutes to stop it before it's too late, and he slits his throat. A powerful storm begins forming, with lightning hitting the ground and various trees, and more planes falling from the sky. The guys go back inside the house. Eric tells Andrew about the figure he saw in the sun's reflection, and he admits that he has begun to believe that the group's visions were true. He saw a similarity between the 4 individuals and aspects of humanity. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse represented aspects of humanity, with Redmond representing malice, Adrienne representing nourishment, Sabrina representing health, and Leonard representing guidance. Their deaths were necessary, but Andrew argued that humanity is not worth saving due to their hatred and rejection. Eric shared a vision of a world that continues to exist, and Andrew grew old and was close to Wen. Eric found peace and took Andrew's hand to shoot himself. After mourning his husband, Andrew and Wen found the truck Leonard's group arrived in, revealing that they were the group they claimed they were. They found items proving that Leonard was a beloved coach, Sabrina was a nurse, and a picture of Adrienne with Charlie. Andrew and Wen drove to a diner to see the news of the disasters winding down, and the planes landed safely. They left together, facing an uncertain future.